So I'm afraid of everything. Clowns, being alone, Ted Cruz, being alone with Ted Cruz. I'm afraid of everything and I worry about everything. And this is a common medical condition called Judaism. It was easy to spot early on because everyone in my family's a doctor, except for the lawyers. It was also clear to everyone when I wanted my bar mitzvah theme to be emergency preparedness. But when I was growing up, the thing that scared me most was talking to girls, specifically one girl named Alex, who I went to school with from kindergarten through senior year. And Alex wasn't scared of anything. That was the main thing I liked about her. One time we were in kindergarten, a boy tried to knock her off the swing set, and she swung up and kicked him in the face so hard I had never seen so much blood. I just remember thinking, I wish she had kicked me in the face, because that's how love warps your mind. Stay with me. But everything about Alex was intimidating. I mean, she was a star athlete, she got the best grades, and her biggest passion in life was sharks. She wanted to be a marine biologist, and she had this encyclopedic knowledge of every shark in existence. Great whites, megamouths, hammerheads, whale sharks. She had encyclopedic knowledge of every shark in existence because she had a crush on sharks the way some girls have a crush on the bad boy. She'd say things like, they're not mean, they're just misunderstood. She was really passionate about this stuff. Like when the crocodile hunter died, she defended the stingray. And she knew facts about every part of the ocean. I mean, one time we were on a field trip in middle school to the aquarium, and Alex was explaining to me how everyone thinks that dolphins are cute and cuddly, but they can actually be vicious murderers who crush each other's skulls, and at least sharks are honest about who they are. The only reason that people think that dolphins are angels is because the mainstream media has been lying to them. Anyway, what animal do you most relate to? I said, not dolphins. Definitely not dolphins. But I panicked because my answer had totally been dolphins. So I just looked around the aquarium at the different exhibits and I just said the first thing I saw, starfish. And she said, that's an interesting answer. That made me feel better. I was like, yeah, well, I'm an interesting guy if you get to know me. She said, no, it's an interesting answer because starfish are asexual. I was like, same. That's why I like them. No sex. And she said, no, asexual means they reproduce alone. Same. I do it alone pretty much exclusively. But it wasn't until 8th grade that I got the courage to ask her out. I wanted to, it was right after my bar mitzvah, and I had this newfound confidence because my rabbi told me I was a man at age 13. Grant Hesser's birthday party was coming up, and I thought I would win her over by getting her a flower, but I couldn't drive anywhere to get flowers, and I didn't want to tell my mom that I liked the girl. So I thought I came up with the perfect life hack. I went to Google Images, because they hadn't invented Bing yet. I typed in artistic flower. Alex liked art. She was one of the best art students in her class. So I picked one of the top results. I printed it out on my dad's color printer. I took a rose-colored Sharpie and I wrote below the image, you are as beautiful as this flower. Whale you be my girlfriend. Whale was spelled W-H-A-L-E. Now in my defense, when it comes to shark puns, there aren't a lot of options. Hammerhead sounds like a sex position. Megamouth also sounds dirty. Great white sounds like the name a Klan member would give his penis. You're welcome for that image. So I went with the classic whale shark pun. there was one more problem I needed to solve. People like flowers because they smell good, and paper flowers don't smell like anything. But as a 13-year-old boy, the only thing I had access to was Axe body spray. I was good to go. So I went off to Grant's house with this whale pun flower love letter that reeked of puberty, and I was ready for love. But that's as far as I could get. I mean, when I got there, I totally panicked. The thought of asking a girl out face to face terrified me. So when I got there, I called an audible, and I put the note in a bush outside of Grant's house. I told one of Alex's friends to lead her to it. So I'm sitting outside, watching, waiting, and finally Alex walks out and opens the note. Now this is probably a good point to tell you that what I didn't know when I picked the flower to print is that the image I had chosen was actually a flower painting by a famous painter named George O'Keeffe. Some of you are getting ahead of me here. For those of you who don't know, George O'Keeffe is a painter famous for painting, as Wikipedia describes it, close-ups of flowers that many have found to represent and resemble female genitalia. So I wrote a note to Alex on a painting of a vagina, saying she looked as beautiful as that vagina, and then I put it in a bush. Sometimes people ask me if I've ever sent someone a dick pic, and the answer is no. I sent a clit pic. So that didn't go according to plan. An hour later, I was sitting alone by the bonfire, and Alex went to come find me, and I could tell she was coming because I could smell the axe. So I turned around, and she said, "I got your note. I thought it was sweet. You might want to read up on the artist. But I think I see us just as friends." My heart sank. I looked at the ground, and finally I looked up and I said, "That's okay. Did you get the pun?" And she said, "I got it." So I was sad and I moved on, but there was always a little bit of hope in the back of my mind that maybe one day things would turn around. Sure enough, 3 years later and 2 inches taller, I thought I saw a new opportunity. Alex had just broken up with this older guy she'd been dating, and we started hanging out more. She would invite me to the aquarium where she worked, and we would do French homework together during free periods. I brought her back a shark tooth from a trip to Florida, and she invited me to her cousin's college basketball games, and I cheered her on at her soccer games, which was really controversial in my family because Alex's soccer rival was my cousin's team. And the year that they played, Alex slide tackled my cousin to the ground multiple times. By the end of the third quarter, my aunt leaned over to me and said, "Your friend Alex is mean." I said, "She's misunderstood." You know who's mean? Dolphins. But homecoming dance was right around the corner, and I thought this would be my opportunity. I had some competition this time, because there was a new kid at school. His name was Brad, and he also had a crush on Alex. And Brad was 6'2" with a six-pack. Brad was built like a G.I. Joe, whereas I'm built more like a G.I. Jew. And by that I mean a Jew with GI problems. When I stood next to Brad, it looked like a before and after photo of puberty. To give you a better visual, one of our mutual friends told me that Brad looked like a cross between Josh Hartnett and Chad Michael Murray. That same friend told me that I looked like a cross between Neville Longbottom and Beans from Even Stevens. If you don't know who that is, Google it or Bing it. It's not a compliment. I would have rather been told I look like a George O'Keeffe painting. Now, the way it worked at my school is that you could buy someone's ticket secretly as a prelude to your big reveal. All you had to do was go to the chaperones at lunch, give them the name, and they'd cross off, give them the money, tell them the name, and they'd cross it off, and you were good. So I bought Alex's ticket, and then I did nothing. My paralyzing fear of rejection returned. I mean, the thought of asking her to homecoming terrified me more than Hammerhead Shark or Ted Cruz. So rumors started to spread around the school. Our whole grade of 51 kids was talking for 2 days who bought Alex's ticket. And at one point, Alex and her friends even confronted me about it, and they said, "Cody, did you buy the ticket?" And with all the courage and masculinity I could muster, I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Finally, after 2 days of speculation, I called my 3 older sisters and I told them what happened. They really encouraged me to conquer my fears. They said, "Muffin." They called me Muffin. They said, "Muffin, this girl likes sharks. That means she likes confidence. You have to be confident." So the next morning, I went out and got some flowers that didn't look like vaginas. And I wrote on a sign, "Whale, you go to homecoming with me." Whale was spelled W-A. You get it. Around lunchtime, I got the sign and flowers out of my locker, and I started walking towards the cafeteria. And that's when I heard it. Someone screaming excitedly. It was Alex. She was saying yes to go to homecoming with Brad. That was my reaction, too. I just stood there, frozen, like a lonely little starfish named Muffin, adrift in the universe. I felt like Brad had kicked me in the face, and as we discussed earlier, I wanted Alex to kick me in the face. But I was really devastated because I'd spent my whole life avoiding risk for fear of rejection. But in that moment, I realized that I felt something worse than rejection: regret. Because wounds heal, but what ifs stay with you. And so I walked back to my locker and I put the sign and the flowers inside. No one ever found out who bought Alex's ticket, and I never told her what actually happened until last year, when I texted her that I was thinking about telling this story on stage. We've remained good friends. She lives in California now, where she's getting her PhD in marine biology with a focus on shark research. And she said, "Let me get this straight. Are you telling me that you bought my homecoming ticket and then let me go to the dance with someone else?" And I said, "Yeah, that's right." And she said, "Why? I would have gone with you." That was my reaction, too. But it turns out she didn't remember everything about our history together. Because the next thing she texted me was, "Wait, were you also the one who put the flower note in the bush?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about."